Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today we're diving into a tiny copper treasure that many people overlook every single day. The 2009 Lincoln Presidency Penny, the 1-cent coin showing the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., might just be sitting in your pocket, and believe me, this coin has a story that every collector loves to hear. So sit back, relax, and listen closely, because this little coin carries a big piece of American history and, in some cases, surprising value. Picture this: the year 2009 marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. To honor him, the United States Mint released 4 special reverse designs representing major moments in his life. The final design in the series is the one we are talking about today, the Presidency Penny, showing the Capitol dome still under construction. It's a symbol of a nation in transformation, a president under pressure, and a moment in history frozen forever in metal. But here's where the excitement begins. Even though millions of these coins were minted, not all are created equal. Condition, mint mark, strike quality, and errors can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Many people don't realize that small imperfections from the mint can make a coin extremely rare. Doubled lettering, weak strikes, off-center strikes, and even die breaks can turn this 1-cent coin into something worth far more than face value. Collectors especially love high-grade examples. If your 2009 Washington, D.C. penny still shines like it just left the mint, with crisp details on the unfinished Capitol dome, smooth fields, and no scratches, it could already be worth more than you expect. Some high-grade pieces certified by top grading companies have reached strong prices because finding a flawless penny from this series is much harder than it seems. Most went straight into circulation, where scratches, wear, and pocket damage took away their premium value. Now let's talk rarity. The coin itself is not rare in general, but finding one in perfect, untouched, high mint state condition is much harder than most beginners believe. And when you add mint errors, the real gems of the hobby, the value jumps dramatically. Collectors search tirelessly for double dies on the lettering, die cracks in the Capitol building, or misaligned strikes that give the coin a dramatic, unique look. These aren't just mistakes, they're treasures that make each error coin one of a kind. So if you have one of these pennies at home, grab a magnifying glass and check it carefully. Clean edges, sharp details, strong luster, these are signs of value. Any odd marks or unusual features might be worth even more. And remember, real value comes from rarity and perfect condition. Now here's the moment everyone waits for. In everyday circulated condition, the 2009 Presidency penny usually sells for around $50 or less. But in brilliant uncirculated condition, especially at the highest grading levels, these coins have sold at auction for around $200, with some examples pushing toward $250 when perfectly preserved. Top 2, we're talking about a tiny treasure from American history, the 1980 Lincoln penny, a simple 1-cent coin that millions of people walk past every day without even thinking about it. But collectors know this: sometimes the smallest coins can hide the biggest surprises. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might look at your pocket change very differently. The 1980 Lincoln penny comes from a special moment in time. It was one of the last years the United States Mint produced pennies in the classic copper-rich composition, made mostly of real copper, before the major metal change that happened in the early 80s. That alone gives this coin a nostalgic charm. When you hold a 1980 penny, you're holding a little piece of the past, a little piece of American copper, and a memory of a time when pennies felt heavier and more solid in your hand. On the front, we see Abraham Lincoln, timeless, serious, and iconic. His portrait has appeared on the penny for more than a century. Flip the coin over, and you get the beautiful Lincoln Memorial design. If you look closely, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the building. It's an intricate design that collectors appreciate for its detail and history. Now, here's where things become exciting for coin lovers. Even though billions of these pennies were minted, not all of them are common. Most 1980 pennies you find in circulation have scratches, discoloration, and years of wear. But the rare ones, the ones collectors hunt for, are the coins in perfect condition. A brilliant, uncirculated 1980 penny with glowing red copper color is far harder to find than many people think. Those coins didn't get tossed into pockets, cash registers, or jars. They were saved, protected, and sometimes forgotten until today. But even more fascinating are the errors. Yes, errors, the magical word that makes collectors' hearts beat faster. Some 1980 pennies have doubled letters in the date or in the word Liberty. Others were struck off-center, giving the coin a dramatic, unique look. Some have clipped planchets where the edge is missing a piece. There are even coins where the details are weak or distorted due to misalignment during striking. Any of these unusual features can turn a 1-cent coin into a collectible worth far more than face value. These errors are rare, they are unpredictable, and each one is a little piece of minting history that can't be recreated. So, if you have a 1980 penny at home, take a moment to check it carefully. Look at the shine. Look at the edges. Look at the numbers. You might be holding something special without even knowing it. Collectors love this year because it offers a mix of history, copper value, and the possibility of discovering rare minting mistakes. Now, let's finish with the part everyone waits for, the value. A normal 1980 penny that has been used and circulated is usually worth just 1 cent, maybe a few cents to a collector. But a beautiful uncirculated 1980 penny in top condition can be worth from $50 to over $100. And the rarest coins, the ones with dramatic errors or the highest mint state grades, have sold for as much as $200 or more at auction. Top 3, we're exploring a coin that millions of people overlook, but collectors know it can hide some very exciting surprises. The 1989 Lincoln penny, a simple 1-cent coin, might look ordinary at first glance, but when you understand its history, its errors, and its hidden rarities, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. So stay with me all the way through, because this little copper-coated treasure might be worth far more than 1 cent. The year 1989 sits in an interesting place in United States coin history. By this time, the penny was no longer made of mostly copper. Instead, the mint had switched to a zinc core with just a thin layer of copper on the outside. That means the 1989 penny has a different sound, weight, and feel compared to older pennies. Even though billions were minted, collectors still search hard for high-quality examples, because most of these coins went straight into circulation, tossed into pockets, dropped into jars, and passed around for decades. On the front of the coin, we see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln that has been on the penny since 1909. His image carries history, dignity, and strength. Turn the coin over, and you get the beautiful Lincoln Memorial design, full of straight lines, columns, and details that require a sharp, clean strike. The better the details, the more desirable the coin. But let's talk about what really gets collectors excited: rarity and errors. Most 1989 pennies are common, but rare ones exist, and they're worth hunting for. Some coins were struck with doubling in the date or lettering, creating the famous double die effect that collectors love. Others have off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted. Some even show die cracks across the fields, extra metal on the edges, or weak strikes that give the coin a ghost-like appearance. Every error tells a story about what happened inside the mint the moment the coin was created. Because the 1989 penny is made from zinc, it is also more prone to damage and corrosion. So finding a clean, bright, uncirculated example with strong red color is surprisingly difficult. A penny that survived 30+ years without scratches, spots, or discoloration is already a small miracle, and collectors love that. A perfect 1989 penny looks like a copper jewel, shining with that fresh mint glow. Those are the kinds of coins that grading companies label with high mint state grades, and that's when value jumps. So if you have a 1989 penny at home, look closely. Check the date for doubling. Check the edges for clips. Look at Lincoln's coat, his hair, the columns of the memorial. Every tiny detail matters. Even slight differences can turn a common coin into something special. And now, the part everyone waits for, the real numbers. A typical circulated 1989 penny is usually worth only 1 cent. sometimes a few cents. But a beautiful uncirculated coin in top condition can bring in around $5 to $20. The rarest examples with strong grading or dramatic mint errors have sold at auction for as much as $100 or even more in exceptional situations. Top 4, we're diving into one of the most talked about modern pennies in American coin collecting, the 1984 Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first glance, it looks like any other penny you'd find in your pocket or in that jar you haven't touched in years. But this particular year hides secrets, rarities, and mistakes from the mint that have made collectors pay very close attention. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully, because this little copper-coated coin might be worth far more than you think. The 1984 penny comes from a time of change in American coinage. By this year, the United States Mint had fully switched from heavy copper pennies to the lighter zinc-based coins coated in copper. These new coins were cheaper for the government to produce, but they came with a downside: they were more fragile. They scratched easily, corroded faster, and often developed spots and bubbles inside the metal. So finding a 1984 penny that has survived all these years in great condition is already impressive. On the front of the coin is the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been trusted for generations. Turn the coin over and you see the classic Lincoln Memorial: clean lines, sharp columns, and that hidden little statue of Lincoln inside. When a 1984 penny has a strong, bold strike, the details pop beautifully. But when there's an error or flaw, those little details reveal some of the most talked about discoveries in modern coin collecting, and here comes the part collectors love: the errors. The year 1984 is famous for one specific mistake: the extra ear variety. This incredible error happens when a double die creates what looks like a second earlobe on Lincoln's portrait. It's one of the most dramatic and valuable modern penny errors ever made. People have found this coin in pocket change, in old piggy banks, even in rolls from the bank, and every time it shows up, collectors go crazy for it. But that's not the only error from 1984. There are off-center strikes where part of the design is pushed to the side, die cracks that run across the coin, plating bubbles from the zinc core pushing upward, and even missing letters or weak strikes. Every one of these unusual features can increase the value dramatically, especially if the coin is still bright red and in mint state condition. So if you have a 1984 penny at home, take a close look at Lincoln's ear. Check for doubling. Look at the edges for clipped planchets or odd shapes. Inspect the fields for raised lines, bumps, or missing details. The possibilities are exciting, and the discoveries people make with this coin are real. Now for the part everyone waits for: the real current market value in simple words. A normal, circulated 1984 penny is worth 1 cent, sometimes a few cents to collectors. A nice uncirculated example with full red color can be worth a few dollars. But the famous extra ear error can sell for anywhere between $50 and several $100s depending on the condition. And the highest graded examples and dramatic errors have sold at auction for several $100s, with some pushing close to $1,000 in rare cases. Top 5, we are diving into a coin that looks simple, ordinary, and easy to miss, but collectors know the truth. The 1971 United States Lincoln penny, the 1-cent coin, holds secrets that can turn a tiny copper piece into a surprising treasure. If you love coins, if you love hidden value, or if you just want to know what might be hiding in your pocket, stay very close and listen carefully, because this little penny from 1971 has more story and mystery than most people expect. The 1971 penny was made during a time when the United States Mint was still producing pennies from rich copper alloy, giving the coin real weight and a deep, warm color that modern pennies no longer have. These older copper cents have a charm that collectors appreciate: they feel solid, they look bold, and they carry decades of history in their shine. On the front, you see the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, with the date 1971 proudly stamped beside him. Flip the coin over, and the Lincoln Memorial design rises with strong architectural lines. If the coin has a strong, sharp strike, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside. But in 1971, not every coin turned out perfect, and that is where the real excitement begins. Collectors know the famous rarity from this year, the double die obverse. This dramatic error creates doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and sometimes even on the date itself. When you tilt the coin under the light, the letters appear doubled or shadowed, an unmistakable sign of one of the most desirable modern penny errors. This is the type of coin people dig through rolls for, the type of coin that turns a 1-cent piece into a serious collector prize, but that's not the only treasure hidden in 1971 pennies. There are off-center strikes where part of the design is missing. There are coins with die cracks running across the fields like tiny lightning bolts. Some have weak strikes where the memorial looks soft or faded. And because copper reacts over time, it's incredibly hard to find a 1971 penny that stayed perfectly preserved. A bright red coin from this year is much rarer than a circulated one. If you have a 1971 penny at home, take a moment and study it carefully. Look at the lettering. Look for doubling. Look at the rims for any unusual shapes or clipped areas. Look at the memorial columns, do they look sharp or distorted? Every detail could be a clue to hidden value. Sometimes the rarest coins are the ones sitting quietly unnoticed in a jar for 50 years, and now, the moment everyone waits for, the real market value in simple, clear words. A normal circulated 1971 penny is usually worth just 1 cent, maybe a few cents to collectors. A beautiful uncirculated 1971 penny with full red color can be worth a few dollars, sometimes more. But the rare double die variety can sell from $100 to several $100s depending on condition. The highest graded examples and the strongest double die coins have sold at auction for several $100s and in exceptional cases close to $1,000. Top 6. We're taking a close look at a coin that millions of people carry, spend, and ignore every single day, the 1978 Lincoln penny. It may be only 1 cent, but if you're a true coin lover, you know that sometimes the smallest coins can hide the biggest stories. So stay with me, listen carefully, and enjoy this journey, because this little copper coin from 1978 might surprise you. The year 1978 sits right near the end of an era. Pennies were still made of solid copper alloy, giving them a warm color, heavy feel, and a durability that modern zinc pennies simply don't have. That copper composition makes older cents attractive to collectors, especially when they survive decades with their natural shine intact. Many people don't realize that finding a bright, red, uncirculated 1978 penny is much harder than it seems. Most of them went straight into circulation, collecting scratches, dents, and discoloration along the way. Look at the front of the coin and you see Abraham Lincoln looking strong and steady as always. His portrait has been used for over a century, but each year's coin tells its own little story. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial shows rows of clean, detailed columns. If the strike is sharp, the tiny statue of Lincoln inside can be clearly seen, and collectors appreciate that level of detail. But here's where things get interesting: the errors and rarities that make certain 1978 pennies worth far more than 1 cent. Even though no major double die variety is officially listed for this year, error coins still exist, and some are extremely desirable. Off-center strikes are popular with collectors because they show the coin misaligned during minting. The more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the coin. Clipped planchets can also be found, where a section of the edge is literally missing, giving the coin a curved bite mark. There are also die cracks, which appear as raised lines across the coin, caused by worn dies. Some coins show weak strikes, where Lincoln's details look soft or faded. And because copper reacts with the environment, a high-grade, full red 1978 penny is far rarer than people realize. Most coins from this year darken over time, so when a bright red one appears, collectors pay attention immediately. If you have a 1978 penny at home, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the rims. Look at the lettering. Tilt the coin under the light and look for unusual shapes, cracks, or doubling. Even small minting flaws can transform your penny from common to collectible. The thrill of discovering something special is what keeps coin hunters endlessly searching. Now for the part everyone waits for, the real value. A typical circulated 1978 penny is worth 1 cent, sometimes a few cents to collectors. A beautiful, uncirculated example with full red color can be worth a few dollars, often between $1 and $10 depending on condition. But dramatic error coins, strong off-center strikes, large clips, or beautiful mint-state pieces, have sold at auction for amounts ranging from $20 to over $100 in certain cases. Top 7, and last rare coin, we're taking a deep look at a coin that many people walk past without a second thought, but coin collectors know it holds secrets, the 1968 United States Lincoln 1-cent penny. This coin may be small, it may be familiar, but trust me, the story behind it is worth every second of your attention. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully, because this little coin could hide more value than you ever expected. The year 1968 is a special chapter in American minting history. For the first time in many years, the Denver and San Francisco mints returned to placing mint marks on coins after a brief period without them. That means 1968 pennies come with different versions: no mint mark from Philadelphia, a D mint mark from Denver, and an S mint mark from San Francisco. Each one has its own charm and its own collector appeal. And yes, some are much harder to find in perfect condition than others. These coins were made of rich copper alloy, giving them a warm glow and a solid feel that modern zinc pennies just can't match. On the front, Lincoln's portrait is bold and confident, a symbol of American history that has stood the test of time. Flip the coin over, and the Lincoln Memorial appears with rows of sharp columns. For collectors, every tiny detail matters. The clearer the lines, the stronger the strike, the more desirable the coin becomes. But what truly makes the 1968 penny interesting are the errors and rare varieties that slipped through the mint. The San Francisco Mint, in particular, created some of the most famous double-die coins of the year. These coins show doubling on the lettering, the date, or the phrase "In God We Trust," creating a shadow-like effect that collectors rush to find. These doubling errors are incredibly valuable and are still being discovered today in old coin jars and forgotten boxes. There are also off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably to one side. The more dramatic the shift, the higher the value climbs. Some coins have die cracks, appearing as raised lines like tiny lightning bolts across the surface. Others have weak strikes where the memorial or Lincoln's features appear soft and blurry. A few even show clipped planchets, where a part of the coin's edge is missing. Any of these unusual features can turn a simple penny into a collector's prize, and let's not forget condition. Copper coins from the 1960s often darkened or toned over time, so finding a bright, red, uncirculated 1968 penny is much harder than you might think. Those coins shine like they just left the mint, and collectors compete fiercely for them. So if you have a 1968 penny at home, take a careful look. Check the mint mark. Study the letters. Tilt it under the light for doubling. Examine the edges for odd shapes. Every tiny detail might be the clue that reveals a hidden gem. Now for the moment everyone waits for, the real market value. A normal circulated 1968 penny is usually worth 1 cent, sometimes a few cents to collectors. A beautiful uncirculated red example can be worth a few dollars up to around $10. But the rare double-die versions and dramatic error coins can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100s. In the highest mint state grades and with strong, dramatic doubling, these coins have reached auction prices of several $100s and, in some rare cases, over $1,000. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of the 1968 Lincoln penny, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another coin treasure story. Keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, the next valuable coin might be waiting in your pocket right now.